Mr. Goffman, I wanted to follow up again on that issue that I talked about on the Clean Power Plan rule that the Supreme Court ruled was a violation of EPA statutory powers from the Congress. I'm a little concerned that move by Gina McCarthy, which again she publicly stated, hey, heck, even if we don't win, it was 3 years ago, all the power plants, most are already in compliance, investments have already been made. Again, shocking disregard for the rule of law in America. I'm a little worried about the electric generating unit, EGU, strategy announced by Administrator Reagan that could have the same kind of impact where it's an overreach on your statutory authority. You guys mandate that everybody complies. It's billions of dollars of compliance. What can you do to assure this committee that you're not going to be undertaking the same Gina McCarthy lawless strategy that she did with the Clean Power Rule that the Supreme Court 6-3 ruled was not within EPA's statutory mandate?
Well, one of the things I want to confirm is that Administrator Regan himself, the current EPA administrator, is absolutely committed in word and in his deeds as a leader to following the rule of law.
I believe that. I happen to like Administrator Regan. I think he's someone who believes in the state's role, and so just if you can commit to me to work with him and this committee to make sure that kind of lawless Gina McCarthy maneuver doesn't happen again, can you commit to me that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let me go to the issue of ethics and conflicts. I've written the IG at the Department of Interior. There's a number of senior officials at the Department of Interior who are making decisions on issues in which in the private sector they were leaders on environmental groups and then meeting with these same groups later. That's clearly a violation of ethics in my view. I've asked for investigations by the IG at Department of Interior. I did notice that you had a bit of a dust up on this issue as part of your 2-year bar on meeting with folks from the Harvard University Environmental Energy and Law program, and the EPA Director of Ethics mentioned that you should have recused yourself. Am I stating that correctly, or I don't want to misinterpret that, but can you make a commitment to me on the issue of ethics that you comply fully with those? It looks like you did have some kind of issue where you were, I think, somewhat reprimanded for not immediately recusing yourself. I'm quoting from the EPA Ethics Director. Am I getting that right, and did you learn a lesson from that?
I certainly did. The lesson I learned involved an email from a former colleague at Harvard, which I forwarded to an EPA employee. The lesson I learned is don't just read the subject line, read the from address to make sure that I am absolutely 110% complying with my recusal obligation.
And that recusal was a 2-year bar of meeting with people you had been working with, and I understand that. And again, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I read the record. It looks like it was an honest mistake. A less honest mistake, though, seems to be Gina McCarthy recently met with the head of the NRDC at the White House, and this was only 8 months after she had been head of the NRDC. To me, that's just like a blanket violation of her ethics agreement. How is it ethical for Gina McCarthy to meet with her former employee less than a year from joining the administration?
I'm not qualified to answer that question.
But if it's a 2-year ban, she met with him after 8 months, isn't that a violation of ethics? You wouldn't do that, would you?
My recusal commitment is 2 years.
So is hers.
I don't know that I really
assume hers is. Isn't that a violation of her ethical obligations?
Senator Sullivan, I hate to interrupt, but
Mr. Chairman, these are important issues.
I know they're important, and I've been very
in
generous.
the Department of Interior, they're violating ethics laws
Senator Sullivan, I'm
on a daily
always
basis.
very generous in providing time for you to go over and beyond the time that's allotted. Finish
No
up,
one
and we
waiting
need-
on me, Mr. Chairman. These are really
We have a
ethics
vote
in
underway. We
The federal
have other
government
business
are
to
really
take.
important issues. I'd just like an answer, and I'd like a commitment to make sure you abide by ethics. But is Gina McCarthy currently abiding by ethics? The answer is no. Right? The answer is no. So can I get a commitment from you to do that, to not follow the suit of your current and former boss? The example of her.
I remain in continual contact with Ethics Counsel, and because I want to be 100% on the mark in implementing my own recusal requirements.
I believe you,
and
but I just think it's important.
And I agree it's important. And often what Ethics Counsel will tell me is that large group meetings, for example, can be permissible even if they include a former employer. So that's why I was hesitating. I did not know what the circumstances were, still don't know what the circumstances were of Ms. McCarthy's meeting because those circumstances could provide the answer to your question as to whether or not she was in violation.
Well, I think she was, but thank you for the answer and thank you for your commitment. I'll have one more follow-up question on a PM 2.5 issue in Fairbanks that we hope you will continue the good work that the EPA had been doing with the state and the borough there. I know you're familiar with it. And
yes.
We actually really appreciate the constructive approach the EPA has been taking on that tough issue in Alaska. I'm sure you're familiar with it, and I appreciate your commitment to continue to work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.